You're out to dinner with your closest friends. Everyone's relaxed, laughing, scrolling through menus like nothing matters. Then the check arrives. Someone casually says, "Let's just split it evenly." You already know how this ends. You ordered the cheapest entree, water, no appetizer, nothing extra. Meanwhile, the person across from you treated the menu like a personal challenge. 3 cocktails, the lobster special, an appetizer they barely touched, dessert. You do the mental math quickly. Your meal cost $28. Your fair share of the split, $73. There's a pause, that familiar tightness in your chest. You could say something right now, but you don't. Pushing back feels petty, awkward. You don't want to be that person who makes everyone uncomfortable over money. So you smile, tap your card against the reader, and swallow the resentment along with the last of your water. What you just paid for wasn't food. It was a $45 ticket to stay in the group, a social tax for not making waves. And this isn't some isolated incident you can laugh off later. It's a pattern that repeats itself weekly, monthly, annually. A small, silent transfer of wealth from the financially careful to the financially careless, all disguised as being easygoing, generous, a good friend. This is what I call the friendship tax, and over time, it costs you far more than you realize.
My name's David, and I've spent an embarrassing amount of time calculating the financial damage caused by the people who supposedly care about you most. Not because they're bad or deliberately malicious, but because nobody ever talks about this honestly. Nobody warns you that friendship as an adult operates like a subscription service you never agreed to. No welcome email, no pricing transparency, just a constant stream of charges that appear automatically. And if you try to cancel, there are consequences. In the United States, the average adult spends over $4,000 every year on what we politely call social obligations. Weddings you can't skip, birthday dinners that cost double what you expected, drinks after work that turn into bottle service, weekend trips you never wanted, group gifts for people you barely know, bachelor parties that require flights, baby showers with mandatory registry minimums. Notice something? Not one of these expenses connects to your actual goals or values. They're all about maintaining access to the group. These aren't indulgences you chose. They're mandatory fees enforced through social pressure, and the penalty for non-payment isn't a late charge, it's exclusion. Decline enough times and you become difficult, cheap, or weird about money. Invitations slow down, you're slowly edited out.
So you keep paying month after month, year after year. Then you stare at your bank account wondering how someone with a decent income still feels perpetually broke. Let me show you the most aggressive example, the destination bachelor party. A friend from college is getting married. Somehow, the only acceptable way to honor this milestone is a 4-day trip to Miami, Nashville, or Vegas. You don't want to go. You definitely can't afford it. But 12 other guys are already in the group chat making plans, and social math always beats financial math. $400 for the flight, $300 for your portion of the Airbnb that sleeps 14 but only has 2 bathrooms, $200 for group dinners, $300 for drinks you didn't want at clubs you'd never choose, $200 more for activities, jet skis, golf, the mandatory group gift. $1,400 evaporates in one weekend. What did you actually buy? The privilege of watching someone you see twice a year get drunk in a city you didn't choose, doing activities you could skip, all so you wouldn't be the guy who wasn't there. And that's before the actual wedding. Add another $500 for travel and hotel, plus a gift substantial enough not to look cheap. One friend's milestone quietly extracted $2,000 from your life, and you're supposed to feel grateful for the memories.
Now, expand the lens. In your late 20s or early 30s, you enter what I call peak wedding density. 4 to 6 weddings per year becomes normal. Even if you skip the bachelor trips, you're hemorrhaging $3,000 to $4,000 annually just to attend ceremonies for people you text maybe once every few months. Weddings are only one category. Birthdays come every month if you have a decent-sized friend group. That's 12 supposedly optional group dinners per year. You expect to spend $40, but by the end of the night, after shared appetizers nobody really wanted and champagne someone insisted on, your portion is $85. Multiply across 12 months. $1,000 vanished into birthday celebrations you couldn't skip without seeming cold. Then there's lifestyle contagion. One friend upgrades their life and the costs ripple outward. Someone buys a boat and suddenly there are boat days with implicit costs: beer, gas, appropriate shoes you didn't own. Another friend gets serious about wine and casual hangouts turn into tasting nights where you're reading labels like you're cramming for an exam, trying to avoid embarrassment and regret. Group trips might be worse. They always start innocently. Wouldn't it be fun if we all went somewhere together? In theory, yes. In practice, the budget defaults to whatever the wealthiest person in the group can afford, and everyone else quietly stretches to match. Nobody wants to be the one who can't keep up, so you agree to nicer Airbnb, better restaurants, extra activities. No single purchase feels outrageous. It's death by 1,000 brunches. Here's what really bothers me. The people enforcing these social norms aren't wealthy. They're just better at hiding the damage. Clean clothes, curated Instagram posts, maxed out credit cards you don't see. They've internalized one truth: experiences create happiness. But watch what that translates into. Restaurants instead of home cooking, bars instead of living rooms, flights instead of local exploration, tourist destinations instead of the state park 20 minutes away. Every meaningful interaction requires a transaction. Why does this happen? Psychology. When you spend money alone, your brain registers pain. Spend it in a group, and your brain registers participation. Laughter, shared moments, belonging, all dilute the cost signal. You can budget all month, then hemorrhage $200 in a single night because your reward circuitry overrides the pain signal. The money vanishes, and you can barely explain where it went. The financial literacy level of your friend group matters. When half the group calculates costs and declines invitations, the other half doesn't see responsible decision-making. They see rejection. Words like changed, not fun anymore, or doesn't care about us circulate. The social spending trap reframes financial responsibility as betrayal. So what do you do without becoming a hermit eating ramen alone? First, separate friendship from spending. We've normalized the connection so completely that suggesting a free activity sounds like poverty cosplay or a social experiment. But friendship and commerce are not the same, and treating them as inseparable is bankrupting you. Second, become the friend who suggests alternatives first. Expensive restaurant? Counter with a potluck picnic. Concert tickets too high? Suggest a house party with a collaborative playlist. Airbnb too much? Mention camping or a cheaper option nearby.
Yes, you'll feel cheap. Yes, you'll worry people think you're boring. But consistently offering alternatives gives permission for others who felt the same to speak up. You'll be surprised how many quietly hoped someone else would say it first. Try this. I want to spend time with you all, but I honestly can't justify spending that much. I'd rather do something cheaper so I can enjoy myself without stressing. Is anyone open to a different plan? It's not, I'm too broke, it's a value statement. You care enough to propose an alternative rather than disappearing. Third, accept the fallout. Some friendships will fade when you stop funding them. That stings, but those weren't actually friendships. They were economic alliances wearing masks. Real friends value your presence, not your purchasing power. Fourth, set clear boundaries. Decide your monthly social budget. $50, $100, whatever works. When you hit that number, you're done for the month. Decline politely, plan for next month. People respect clear, unapologetic boundaries far more than vague excuses. Fifth, redirect every dollar you don't spend into a freedom fund. Every dollar not spent on proving you belong buys real options. Quitting a job you hate, taking time to figure out what you want. investments that compound. That dinner everyone's already forgotten bought you nothing permanent. Your freedom is permanent. Specifically for weddings, the ultimate trap. You don't owe a bachelor trip or a $300 gift. Support exists without bankruptcy. A heartfelt card costs $4. Helping with setup is free. Attending the ceremony is usually cheap. Everything else, destination events, elaborate gifts, premium hotels, is optional. If the couple can't survive your absence, they're not your friends. You can have a genuinely rich social life for almost no money if you're willing to put in slight effort. Free events exist. Parks, hiking, museum-free days, street festivals, board game nights, potlucks. Here's what I've learned. The moments you actually remember, the stories you tell years later, almost never involve expensive dinners. You remember getting lost on a hike, the 4-hour board game marathon, the potluck disaster, the 2 a.m. kitchen conversation. Real friends want you there, not your credit card. Cut loose the people who make you feel poor for having boundaries. Keep the ones who suggest the walk instead of the bar. Your stress drops, your account recovers, and the part that surprised me most, you end up happier, surrounded by people who don't require financial performance to accept you. Connection doesn't have a price tag. It just took me nearly going broke to figure that out.